There was a workshop in New York City in 1974 about legal rights of Asian Americans. The people who attended were interested and concerned about how Asian Americans were not being represented in the legal system. It was really out of that workshop that AALDEF grew.
We set up legal clinics, distributed legal rights materials in multiple languages. We set out to demystify the law.
We had our small little office down in Chinatown. The current office is at 99 Hudson Street, where we moved in the early 80s to be part of the Public Interest Law Center.
We joined together with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Latino Justice, and Council of New York Law Associates.
We would have brown bag lunches to exchange ideas. It was the cultivation of these national civil rights organizations representing communities that were growing in power and growing in number.
The Asian American community is diverse and growing.
The nation's fastest growing minority.
And they flex that power at the polls,
having an increasing influence on America's political leadership.
We want to be part of democracy, and we want people to take the Asian American vote seriously. We are there talking to people in their native language, asking them questions that were important to them.
The Asian American exit poll allows us to see what our communities across the country and within jurisdictions care about, and get that information to stakeholders who can reflect that in policy.
There were many people who had registered and were eligible to vote, but they did not speak English fluently. And that helped to make the case for bilingual ballots for the first time in New York City.
A lot of the labor standards in the community were transposed from Asia. $1 an hour and sharing your tips. AALDEF was one of the few, if not the only group, that spoke out in support of the workers.
We represented restaurant workers at Silver Palace, who formed the first independent union. Their employer was stealing tips and not paying minimum wage. That encouraged a lot of other workers to organize in their workplaces.
It sends a clear message that Chinese Americans will stand up for their rights and they won't tolerate labor law violations.
The International Ladies Garment Workers Union had had a contract with Chinese garment owners and workers for many years, and the contract was up for renewal. Factories thought it was an opportunity to try to block the union. The union called a rally. They invited AALDEF to speak because we were one of the community organizations that actually came out to support the union very early.
Chinese contractors made themselves be victims of bank.
After that, the renewal contract was signed. And it just shows that if you stand up and speak out, it's inevitable you can get results.
There was a play that was being done with an Asian American role taken by a white person in what they call yellow phase.
A number of us felt the role should go to an Asian actor. The whole New York theater and cultural establishment said that we were essentially political correctness run amok. AALDEF stepped up.
I remember opening night because we had arranged to get all of these police permits. There was a huge crowd that was protesting.
Most of us were artists, so to have people familiar with resistance and social justice, that was kind of a stabilizing force for us. Several decades later, if you're going to have an Asian role, it's pretty much universally accepted. You need to cast an Asian actor.
We gather here today to right a grave wrong.
There was a bill to set up a commission, the Commission on Wartime Relocation and Internment of Civilians. AALDEF helped with research to support the bill. And so it was a great victory for the Japanese American community.
Blame and anti-Asian hate is the kind of thing which has happened throughout our history.
And that created fertile ground for anti-Asian violence. And we were involved going to different states where murders were occurring. And then, of course, the dot busters happened. A group involved in a terror campaign to drive all South Asians out of Hudson County and Jersey City. They actually attacked and killed a man. We helped organize a coalition following the trial where members of the dot busters were prosecuted and convicted.
Go forward to 9/11, it's the same message. We work with South Asian communities and Muslim communities who have been fighting, harsh surveillance as a result of Islamophobia. And so the work that we're doing is aimed at ensuring that Asian Americans can call the United States home.
When we first started AALDEF in 1974, the population of Asian Americans was about 1.5 million nationwide. Now it's 24 million Asian Americans.
When issues affect one community within the larger Asian American community, it is incumbent on all of us to mobilize.
That means that the many other organizations that we each collaborate with will make all the difference.
We see ourselves as part of a broader social justice ecosystem.
I hope we will continue to be building partnerships with different community groups and expanding on our vision of community lawyering.
AALDEF has had an incredible 50 years. In the next 50 years, I want to make sure we really build upon that history. I'm excited to be thinking about the work that we all get to do together.